News Talk Sports 94.9 WSJM. Dave Wolf alongside Bret Witkowski. We're at Steve Upton Field at Dickinson Stadium. St. Joe coming away with a 49-12 win over Battle Creek Central, and kind of a vanilla game for St. Joe at the start, really.
Yeah, definitely. It's a good way of putting it. It was just a subpar effort. I mean, they were allowing Battle Creek Central to hang around. Williams, the quarterback, he's a good quarterback. He's a sophomore, and he was a run-first type of quarterback. But he threw the ball, I think, very effectively. But I think vanilla is a good way to describe it, Dave. It wasn't the Bears we saw the first 6 weeks on offense, nor was it the Bears we saw the first 6 weeks on defense.
If there's anything that really St. Joe hasn't done well on defense this year, it's the pass game.
Yeah,
I think that was evident last week against Mattawan, and it was evident against Battle Creek Central tonight. And
it's in the mid-range.
Yeah.
I'm talking 5 to 15 yards. St. Joe plays a lot of zone coverage, and the opposing teams, especially Mattawan, and I think Battle Creek saw that in film too, they're settled in that 5 to 15-yard range and able to pick up quite a few passes. I thought Williams was 11 for 15 or 12 was 17.5. He had a pretty good percentage, which Mattawan threw the ball very efficient too also.
There was a point in the second quarter where Battle Creek Central pulled within, I think it was 10.
Yeah.
And St. Joe finally woke up. Something finally,
good way to put it.
The coffee was starting to flow in the St. Joe locker room.
Something happened, and we talked about this a little bit in pregame with Joel and I. Teams, the coaches can only say so much.
Yeah.
It's like we've all, as a parent, your kids listen to you, and then you're like, you say it, but then someone else says the exact same thing, and you're like, oh, really? I should do that. And you as a parent said it, and we as kids have said it to our parents. And I think the same thing happens in sports. Coach can only say it so much. At some point, the seniors and senior captains have to take some ownership and then say something to do something and get them to that next level. If you follow sports, whether it's college or pro, you always hear, you hear it quite often, at some point there's a players only meeting.
Yeah.
And it's usually for them to flush out what the issues are and move on. Coach can coach and do a lot, but the teams that make the runs are senior-led teams. And that's not to say always on the field, but I'm talking about in the locker room, the practice field, the sidelines, the attitude, getting on the bus, getting off the bus, stuff like that.
With St. Joe winning, improving to 7-1, not knowing what Portage Central did, but Portage Central and St. Joe, it's going to be another old Big 8 type battle as it was for the 80s and most of the 90s.
Yeah, I think there was almost a 30-year stretch, counting the 70s, where I thought it was 28 or 27 out of 30 years it came down to Portage Central and St. Joe for that title. And whether Portage Central wins or not tonight's irrelevant. It will come down to those two tomorrow, or next Friday, to see who wins that. And, I think, to me as a coach, having a very competitive game going into districts is needed for St. Joe. I think if they were to play a team that is struggling, I don't think that benefits the Bears going into the playoffs. Having a team like a Portage Central sharpens the knife and gets them fine-tuned for the playoffs.
Well, speaking of the districts, St. Joe at Portage Central next week, a Division III against a Division II team.
Correct.
A Division II team that's done very well and has a lot of power points. That can boast well for St. Joe. I mean,
exactly.
If St. Joe loses that, St. Joe will probably be in the playoffs.
They'll be in the playoffs. They're in right now.
But right now, if the first playoff game will be here at Dickinson or someone else, will depend a lot on what they do against Portage Central next week. And really the same for Portage Central.
Correct. Yeah. I think Portage Central loses. They're on the road. I think St. Joe still can get a first round home at 7-2, but then I think you're done. Mm-hmm. You go 8-1, I think your chances of getting second and maybe even a third round game, which is a regional at home, improve dramatically. And so there's a lot to be said here. I mean, I think 5 of the 10 teams in the conference are going to make the playoffs. I think Kalamazoo Central, because they play Loyola North next week.
Yes.
Right now they're ranked 33rd in the playoffs. They're going to move up. Portage Central is going to get in there. Portage North, I think, is going to get in there. Mattawan, I think, is going to get in there. And St. Joe. And those are all teams that St. Joe faced all season.
And St. Joe did quite well against all but one of them.
Yeah.
We'll see what we do against Portage Central next week.
And people ask me a lot during the week what happened. And basically, St. Joe was a step slow. I mean, they must have got off the bus slow and just continued. And it's just, if anybody's been around sports, if you played it or coach it, there's some games it's just like, what is going on here? And that was just one of those. We're not ready to go.
I mean, you could see there was an attitude when we saw it against Gull Lake. There was a look out in the same game against Lakeshore.
Exactly.
But there wasn't that last week against Manawan. And it kind of slowly happened here tonight against Battle Creek Central.
Well, I agree. I think the vanilla, your description is perfect for the first half. And that was really the first half, how they played against Manawan. The difference was they were playing Battle Creek Central and not Manawan. The second half was how St. Joe played against Portage Northern, against Lakeshore, against Gull Lake. Boy, I can go down the list. That was the St. Joe. And the difference is the mind. The body, there's nobody got any healthier at halftime. If anything, they're more tired. Something was changed and or said in the locker room that made them rise to the level that they need to do to make their goals, which is, one goal was to avenge a loss against Niles. We all know that.
Yeah.
2 was to beat Lakeshore. 3, go undefeated, not going to happen. 4, to win the conference, which can happen. And 5, obviously make a deep run in the playoffs.
St. Joe heads to Portage Central next week. Portage Central, as of tonight, was 5-2.
Correct.
St. Joe 6-1. St. Joe now 7-1. I think Portage Central. I don't remember who they were playing. I think it was
Battle Creek Lakeview.
I think it was Lakeview. So, all intents and purposes, Battle Creek Lakeview was not much of a challenge for Portage Central. So I would assume pretty good that Portage Central won that game. So you got a 7-1 St. Joe team, a 6-2 Portage Central team,
which has won 6 in a row.
Which has won 6 in a row, and this is basically the scenario 2 years ago where St. Joe went up to Battle Creek Central and came away with a SMAC conference title, not a division title.
Yep. Yeah, and to me, it's all one and the same there. I know they split up in 2 divisions, which is fine. But it's what you live for as a player. You want your games to matter, right?
Yes.
I feel sorry for some of the 8-player teams because they just get the regular season with no chance of playoffs because they're just too big. But to have a chance to get in the playoffs, not everybody does. And once you get it, it's just a different feeling. And, that's what St. Joe's going to experience. Hopefully, it's going to be a tough district. I think by all accounts, it looks like we're going north. Because there aren't any teams in this area, right? I mean, of all the teams in the area, regardless of size, right now you're only looking at maybe a couple. Berry Springs, maybe Dowagiac lost got upset tonight. Maybe a Buchanan. Nobody else is getting in the playoffs.
No, I mean, even down A-Man, Bridgman's not.
No, too big.
The Sharks aren't.
Too big.
So just Berrien County is going to be.
It'll be Berrien and St. Joe.
Niles,
and possibly Buchanan with the upset win tonight over Dowagiac.
So we'll be on the air from McCamley Knight Stadium. So Portage Central night. Get the bottom night in there. I mean, that was.
Where are we going to be sitting yet?
I haven't paid off the ADs at Portage Central enough yet.
Well, listen, I'm telling St. Joe fans, if Portage Central puts us in the bleachers, we are not sitting on the Portage Central side again. I am done sitting with the Mustang fans. We will bring the generator and we'll sit in the visiting bleachers like Harry Carey and Steve Stone, but without the Budweiser beer, because that's just not allowed in high school football games. Or we'll sit on the field at 20 yards.
If you don't know, the Portage Central, when they rebuilt their stadium, they built a beautiful stadium. The press boxes, we'll just say, rather small, and the one broadcast booth that they have is set up for their school student broadcast. So it's actually a quite good broadcast. But,
no, it's not. It's horrible.
For students?
This is a broadcast. Okay. We don't. Everybody compares to us.
Oh, look at this, but for students.
I'm not talking about students.
Okay, but
I'm just telling you. It sounds like we're going to be in the bleachers in St. Joe right now.
I'm trying to be nice because if I say it's a nice broadcast.
Oh, it's a great broadcast.
See?
Yeah. Portage Central does a great job. We'd be blessed to be inside. Either way, if we're sitting on the visiting side, we'll have fun.
St. Joe at Portage Central next week from McCamley Knight Stadium in Portage. Jill Cordes, Bret Witkowski will be on the call. We'll wrap up the game afterwards here on WSJM's YouTube page. Make sure to hit subscribe. For Jill Cordes, Bret Witkowski, I'm Dave Wolf, WSJM Sports.